All right. Hey everyone, Melanie Allen here, Emerald Ambassador. So honored tonight to have certified John Maxwell coach Chad Patterson. He is going to be talking to us about how to reignite your passion for your Plexus business. We are so honored to have him on our team. So welcome, Chad, to our team. And we can't wait to hear your training tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to you. And you can just unmute yourself and get started.
Well, thanks, Melanie. Hello, everyone. It is an honor to be here tonight. I'm so excited. I don't know if you caught the rain fiasco video this morning, but I'm still wet. Still thankful for the opportunity to speak into people, especially blessed to be a part of this team with my wife and friends like Melanie. And so I'm honored. Thank you, Melanie, for tonight. Let me just get to the point real quick. You all have an amazing purpose in life, and you all have an amazing opportunity to let your passion shine through. And I am so honored to hopefully share some nuggets of wisdom that I'm still trying to learn in my own life, but principles that I've seen proven time over time. These principles are timeless, and I hope tonight I can even rekindle some of your memory. Most of us have enough knowledge about these kinds of things. A lot of times it's for us to claim them and to believe them and to practice them. So my focus tonight will be on application. And so let me grab a PowerPoint, if you can bear with me here. Those of you who are on the video this morning saw my amazing technical strengths that are still in process. But let me grab a little PowerPoint for us.
I love how it says main ambassador.
You like that?
Awesome.
Did I spell it right?
You totally did.
Okay, so I hope does that come across okay, Melanie?
Yes, it looks perfect.
Okay, well, let's rock and roll, y'all. Tonight, again, reignite. To reignite means there was a fire, there is a fire. And if anything tonight, I hope we can pour some new fuel on that fire. I don't know the last time you sat by a campfire. I love fire. There's a lot of symbolism to fire. In my faith, there's a lot of symbolism. I love the heat of a fire. Fire creates results. Typically, when a fire is lit, things change. And that's going to be part of the focus tonight is how can we rekindle, reignite the fire within us so that we can be the amazing people, the amazing business owners, the amazing husbands and wives, the amazing people on planet Earth that create great results. Tonight, the focus is on our business. But I just want to remind you, these principles aren't categorical. These are who we are as people. We just have the opportunity to apply these in different arenas. If you look on the left side of the screen, there have to be the right elements for a fire to burn. We have to have oxygen, which is basically the air that we breathe. There has to be a heat source. And there has to be material that will burn, fuel that will burn. So let me do my best to shift those elements into the template of the conversation we're going to have together tonight. The three elements to have a successful business are right in front of us. And it's 3 P's. We have to have a purpose, which is our source. We have to have a passion, which is the fuel. And we have this amazing tool, this amazing vehicle, a material called Plexus. So tonight I want to take a deeper dive into what is purpose, how can we unleash our passion, and how can we apply purpose and passion to our Plexus business. So here we go. Purpose. I know, and I'm still learning some of the Plexus terms. I'm actually going to be doing my why video in a couple of days for a launch this Wednesday night. I'm so thankful now to be a man ambassador, by the way. So I've been thinking about my why. In my why for Plexus, truly, the meaning for me is it's changing my health. It's changing my life. It's changing my ability to sleep without Tylenol PM. It's changing my ability to go to the gym and hit maxes that I hit in college. So I'm seeing direct results in my health. And that's really been the why for me as I think about sharing this great Plexus story with people. The why in our lives drive us. If you think of all the different roles that you play in life, I have the privilege of being a dad, a husband, a granddad. I know some of you are supposed to say there's no way he's old enough to be a granddad, but I am. I have a lot of different roles. I'm blessed to be a community leader. I'm a part of different charities. And the why is what gets me up in the morning. The why is what keeps me going. It's the calling, if you will, that I feel in my life. It gives me will. Just like the video this morning, I didn't allow the rain and the circumstances to take me off track. And that purpose, that why is what drives us forward. I don't know if you've ever experienced a personal mission statement, but one of the greatest ways, and we're going to talk about this at the end of this section, if you've never developed a personal mission statement, maybe think to the places that you've worked. Most companies have a mission statement. Most churches have a mission statement. Most organizations, charities, you name it, teams, football teams, bands, most groups of organized people have some direction that they're trying to go. They have some why behind their activities. Mission statements are an amazing way to center us on the purpose and the why that we have in our life. I want to reflect back on a movie Liz and I saw recently. It's called Hacksaw Ridge, and forgive me if I don't pronounce the gentleman's name, but Hacksaw Ridge was based on the true life story of a private DOS. And if you think back to the movie, I know it was very gory, and I apologize for that imagery, but if you think back to the purpose that young man had, why he even went into the military, what drove him away from a very comfortable, safe place, in a relationship with a beautiful lady. He had a lot of things going for him, but because of his passion, because he wanted to go serve, because he wanted to give life, not take life. I'm guessing those of you who've seen it are already recalling certain scenes. But I want to recall the very powerful statement that he continued to make over and over and over again. Do you remember? He said, one more. He kept saying, one more. Bullets were flying. We don't have to describe it. It was a messy place. But Private Doss continued to follow his why, and he continued to act out the one more. And that drove him back up the hill and over the hill to retrieve men over and over and over again. That was a powerful picture of a purpose being lived out on planet Earth. I'm sure we can think of other characters in life that have played out that passion. You know, as a person of faith, I think about a man with a group of 12 people who is still changing the world today because of a simple why that people continue to pursue and live out today. There are a lot of examples in our lives of people who have a very strong why. Think back to your initial why testimony for Plexus. Do you remember what it is? Did you write it down? Do you still repeat it to yourself on those days when you think, what in the world am I doing? Or how can I continue going when people reject my offer? Or how can I continue to do this at the pace I'm doing? We all have those questions of why are we doing this? But if you think about that three little word that starts that sentence, why, that reflects our purpose. And I encourage you tonight to go back to your Plexus why. If you haven't written it down, I encourage you to write it down. Now tonight, as an action step, I want to challenge you to consider writing a personal mission statement. If you truly want to connect it straight to your Plexus business, I would encourage you to write out your personal Plexus business mission statement. Feel free to shorten those words, but it's basically a written statement of your why. Now you can also do that as a family. You can continue to do that in your business or your other places of work if you have a dual career. Any organization you're a part of, I would encourage you to be centered on the why. Now, those of you who lead others, and again, if you're an ambassador and have people under you, as a professional coach, this is something I am very excited about, the opportunity to help develop people. And when I'm coaching an individual or coaching a team, a lot of times I go back to the center point of why. And so those of you in leadership within Plexus, Melanie, I know you have some great leaders on your team. Follow up with your people. Encourage them to consider a personal mission statement. Follow up within the next 3 days and ask them if they have actually written it out. Those of you on the call, hold each other accountable. Ultimately, we have to hold ourselves accountable. Ultimately, we all have to answer for our own why. But when we have the privilege of leadership, when we have the privilege of walking beside people, we can check in with them, allow them to tell the story of how their why is driving their activities, how their why is keeping their focus on people, how their why is aligning their priorities with their purpose. When you align your purpose and your passion and your productivity and your priorities, as you'll see later, that's when extreme, massive results happen. And ultimately, that's what we want. We want our purpose, our why, to drive our behavior so we can create amazing results, not only in our lives, but in the lives of those that we're serving through Plexus. So again, go back to the action step and write out your personal mission statement for Plexus. So that's purpose. It all starts with why. Let's talk about passion. I have no doubt when you hear the word passion, a lot of different imagery comes to mind. Think about it just for a second. Say the word passion out loud. What comes to mind? Is it Bluebell ice cream? Is it baseball for me? Is it spending time romantically with my wife? Of course. There's a lot of imagery around passion. But I also think about another person who had the passion in his life to actually die for me. I think for the special image of passion, it just reflects, like it says, a very strong, intense, driving conviction. Now catch this part. Passion is barely uncontrollable. Think about the last time you shared your Plexus story with people. Was your passion passive? Could they tell you were even excited? Or did someone have to rein you back? Did someone have to see, hey, slow down just a little bit? You know, that passion is our excitement. It's barely uncontrollable. I do have to affirm my wife. She has an amazing passion for Plexus. I love to see it in her eyes. You can hear it in her tone. You can see it in her body language. I see the same thing when I sit down with Melanie. And when I see people excited, you see it in their eyes. You cannot manufacture passion. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know how to fake things very well. But just like a young kid, people can sniff out smoke. People can tell when we're just blowing smoke. People can tell when there's an emptiness in our words. We feel it ourselves, right? Now, passion is not so much based on emotion. I want to make a clear point there. Passion it's deeper than emotion. It's that gut of guts, heart of hearts, that will inside of us that causes us to go. And I want to just highlight some things about passion that I'm still learning and that just make a lot of sense to me, and I hope it's encouraging to you. A lot of times when we hear passion, people think of inspiration. And I'm often asked to speak on motivation or inspiration. So let me give my best explanation of where I've landed when I compare motivation versus inspiration. Motivation comes from an external source. If you're like me, I played sports through college. I took piano lessons until I was in 5th grade, when people called me a sissy on the bus. I still regret not playing the piano, by the way. But there are a lot of external forces in our lives that motivate us. Some are positive and some are negative. You know, I think about baseball. I definitely have had my share of coaches blow a whistle in my ear. I've definitely had my share of coaches put the paddle to lots of places that we all know. I've definitely had people clap for me. I've definitely had people reward me. But all those things are external. And while they're external, they're still very valuable. I don't want to minimize the power and the purpose of motivation. But let me make a clear contrast. Inspiration comes from within. Inspiration is a reflection of that why, the purpose. Passion is the face externally of that internal why. Now, let me make a clear example between motivation and inspiration. On the baseball field, my coach could come out to me and yell, kick, throw dirt, whatever. And I would maybe perform better for the time. Or my mom could remind me to practice piano, practice piano, practice piano. Or when my dad was around, I definitely was motivated to behave. But what happens when they're not in the room with me? What happens when it's just me at the keyboard? What happens when it's just me on the diamond playing ball? What happens when it's just Chad? What if I don't have those external forces around me? Then it really falls on me. What's within me? And that's what we call inspiration. Again, inspiration comes from that well of our soul, our heart, our gut. Wherever that place is on you, I feel it right here at the top of my gut. That's where my passion, that's where my why comes from. And it has to be internal for it to be inspiration. I want to give you a silly example. I meant to have a hula hoop with me here, but everyone visualize a hula hoop. I'm sure we have some hula hoop champions watching tonight. Just visualize a hula hoop. Go ahead and grab it. Make sure it has a color. I'm guessing they're all pink for Plexus. But just visualize your hula hoop. Does it have glitter? When you shake it, does it make sound? Mine does. Now, lay that hula hoop over you down on the ground and stand up in the very center of your hula hoop. Now, relax and let go. The hula hoop's on the ground. You're standing dead center inside this hula hoop. So here's the news flash. The person inside the hula hoop is the only person on the planet that has any control over you and me. Now, most of us have a decision to make. Do we believe that we have the power within that hula hoop? Do we believe that we have the power to have say in our life? I talked about this morning about the railroad tracks. It's called an internal locus of control. If we have that posture, if we have that belief set, we believe that within us we have the power to have influence in our life. That we have the ability, the freedom to make choices that determine our path, even our destiny. Now, again, as a person of faith, I know where my destiny is coming from. But even on planet Earth, we are given the freedom to have free will and make choices in our life. That's called internal locus of control. That's giving ownership to the why within us. That's giving passion, the freedom to come through and show up on earth in our actions. Now, the contrast of that is people in the hula hoop that say, no one inside the hula hoop has control over me. It's everything outside the hula hoop. Now think about that for a second. How does that feel to say everything outside of me has control over me? Frankly, that's called a victim's mindset. That's where people have the choice to say, man, the circumstances stink. The people around me stink. My boss causes me to fill in the blank. My wife, husband, kids, the blame is external. The blame is outside the hula hoop. The responsibility is outside the hula hoop. Now, if you're like me, I can whine with the best of them. I can cry like a baby when I don't get my way, or I can cry like a baby when things don't go my way. But what I'm really trying to say is external locus of control is a victim's mindset. It's totally powerless. You're totally giving your power and your purpose to things outside of you. Whichever way the wind blows, that's how you go. However high the water comes, that's how high you float. That's a huge contrast. For me, that is the core of where passion and purpose live. They either live inside the hula hoop where you're standing, or they're outside the hula hoop where you're not standing. Now, just to be frank, there have been plenty of times in my life where I've gone through a fire or gone through a tough time. And frankly, I didn't feel like I had any will, and I didn't feel like I had any passion, and I questioned my purpose. And we all have life happening. And hopefully we have anchors around our life, like our faith, like our family, like our friends, like our Plexus family, to encourage us and give us hope and remind us that we are in control. We are in control of how we respond to the amazing challenges and difficulties and opportunities that come our way in what's called life. So even in our circumstances, even in the hardest of times, if we're centered inside that hula hoop, if we're centered inside ourselves, if we're centered in that posture that says we have power, we have purpose, our passion can breathe, our passion can grow, and our passion can explode. So real quickly, let me recap that illustration. Motivation versus inspiration. Motivation is from external forces. Many of them are amazing. If you're an ambassador and you have people under you, if you're a coach, clap and hand clap and be a balcony person of praise and affirmation and encouragement to your people. That is of high value. But don't forget that ultimately, when it's just us alone, we can stand inside that hula hoop because we have a why and because our passion is free to where we can have an internal locus of control. Friends, that's truly the point where momentum either starts or momentum either freezes. And so I encourage you to really consider, where are you standing inside that hula hoop tonight? Do you know your why? Remember to go back and write it out. Do you feel that passion growing? Let it loose, let it free. Take ownership of the ability to have control and influence and power in your life. And then the passion will fly high. Let me highlight just an action step here. You know, again, a lot of us are having life. Some of us have kiddos in the house. Some of us have very challenging circumstances in our health and our family and our jobs. There's always a reason. There's always a potential barrier blocking our passion. I would encourage you just to spend some quiet time tonight or tomorrow or within the next 40 hours and really reflect on your why. Really reflect on where you are with internal locus of control mindset versus external locus of control mindset. See if there are any barriers on the track. If you remember this morning, I talked about the train on the track. Passion is the fuel for our momentum. If you visualize a barrier, though, it only takes a 6-inch block to keep a train from moving on a track. So think about if you have any blocks in your life right now. Is anything blocking your why? Is anything blocking your passion? Name those things. You know, for me, it could be a self-limiting belief. For me, it could be a pain that I just frankly haven't overcome, or a loss where I could be grieved. There's so many things that can cause us to have a barrier with our passion. And until oftentimes we stop and name those things, we frankly live in the land of denial, or the river of denial. I know you've swam in the river of denial with me. But spend some time reflecting. Allow your self-awareness to truly give some insight onto where you are with your passion, and name anything that's blocking that. I would encourage you to have a trusted friend. Maybe it's a Plexus partner. Maybe it's someone in your upline. Maybe it's a trusted family member. But share those things. It takes vulnerability to share our struggles. But I find so much freedom and accountability when we have people that love us and walk beside us. So name any barriers that come to mind. And then think of actions that you can take forward to do a 180 from those barriers. If it's a self-limiting belief, read some things that remind you of the value that you have as a person. If you remember, you're each fearfully and wonderfully made. Each of you have an amazing high calling on planet Earth. I believe that with all my heart. And circumstances and people sometimes want to tear that down. But let's let our passion run free. Let's take those barriers, those blocks off the track. So there's just a little exercise you can do in your quiet time to name those barriers, share them with a friend, and then think of steps forward. For those of you who coach or lead others, again, go back and ask them to visit their why statement encourage all of us to come up with specific action steps that allow our passion to go free. Make it measurable, make it specific. If you remember the SMART action plan, make specific, measurable goals that you can physically see and track in your life. And sometimes in our business activities, we forget to do the fundamentals. When we do the fundamentals well, when we're consistent, our activities and the results compound. When we allow our passion to go free, it starts to compound in our behavior and our activities. And ultimately, that's where great results can come. Now let's look at how we can ignite our passion through some of our Plexus Business activities. Again, I came up with some P words. The teacher in me likes to do that, by the way. Again, essential elements for a fire, or to set our Plexus Business afire. That is actually a word, by the way. I think I spelled it right. Okay, so these are the different components that I see as part of our Plexus Business as I'm learning this business. But let's look at these four essential elements. If we're going to allow our why to drive our passion, who are we going to direct our passion to? Well, I think we all would agree that Plexus is about people. We have something very special to share with people. We have the secret sauce, if you will, that could truly transform and change lives. We all have our testimony. Take your testimony back to your why. Does it reflect your why? Is there passion in your testimony? For me, that's what people are going to hear first. By far, I believe that people see what we do before they hear what we say. I think our people that we work with, they have to know that we have a high passion for what we're doing. They have to know that we have a high belief in them. We have to value the people. This is not a sales pitch. This is a share opportunity, is how I like to say it. So when you look at other people, and as you look at opportunities to share Plexus, let's don't forget the other most important person in this formula, and that's you. Remember that you have value. Have a high belief in yourself. I know for some of us, this is probably the first time Liz and I have been this intentional with an MLM. I do business development. I'm very comfortable going out and trying to sell leadership coaching packages to people because I have a lot of confidence in that. Same thing with Plexus. It takes some level of confidence in the product, but it really takes a lot of confidence in ourselves before we can go out and share that with people. So I want to encourage you to remember that you have a high belief in yourself, that you have high value as a person, and that you have an amazing platform through Plexus to truly reach people. One of the other things I'm learning about passion and my purpose is that I have to continue to stay in a growth mindset. You know, for me, passion reflects an ability to continue growing. Passion is not a fixed state. I want to be more passionate tomorrow than I am today. And that's going to require Chad to stay in the mode and the mindset of growing and developing. Now think about that with your business. I don't know where you are in your timeline, but I'm fairly new. I became an ambassador hours ago, frankly. Liz is way ahead of me. I've seen her grow and develop in how she executes the Plexus Business. That allows her why to grow. That allows her passion to grow. So remember, passion and why in business cannot be successful in a fixed state. We have to continue to grow and stretch and develop ourselves and develop our business. Think about the products. Do you believe in the products? Are you a living testimony of the product? I think I heard Melanie or Tanya or someone say, Lana, we are a product of the product. Wow. So we have to be faithful and consistent with the fundamentals of taking our Plexus products. People are watching, they're looking, they're listening, they're hearing our testimony, but they're also watching our activities in our life. And again, as we present the opportunity to share products with people, remember, let your passion be driven by an opportunity to share, not an opportunity to sell. I don't want to be that person that people see coming down the hallway or coming down the street. They say, oh my gosh, Chad's going to try to sell me something. That's not my heart, and that's not my posture. So we have to remember to keep our passion reined in at times, but keep it alive. People will see and hear and know your passion by the love that you show them, by the concern that you have for them, and with the knowledge and the confidence you have about the products that you're sharing with them, because you know it can transform their lives. Now, let me just remind us all, we can't force Plexus on anybody. We frankly can't force our passion on people. We truly can't force our why on people. And that's why I believe our passion has to be grounded in love and respect and kindness and gentleness. Even though passion can be barely uncontrollable, it can still be guarded with love. So I just want to plant that seed with you as you go out and share, not sell the products with passion. Let's talk about priorities. I know you're all masters of priorities, but this is really a checkpoint for Chad as I continue to try to master this skill. You've heard of the 80-20 rule. One of the fastest ways to determine your priorities, you've probably heard this before, is to look at your checkbook and your calendar. Your priorities reflect how you spend your time and how you spend your money. Wow, that's very convicting for me. Now let's transfer that to our business with Plexus. How are you spending your time? Now for some of us, we're still dual career and we're trying to find balance. So we have to truly maximize every hour, every day to try to create the most results. If you remember, the 80-20 rule says spend 80% of your time or treasure on your top 20% of most important priorities. For example, think about your relationships. You want to spend 80% of your time with the top 20% of people that you can for sure create results with. Think about your money. You want to spend 80% of your money, invest 80% of your money on your top 20% of priorities, because that's where you're going to find the most return and the most reward. So as you think about how you're managing your time, how you're managing your resources, as you're trying to balance life, I encourage you to truly look at your calendar. For me, I intentionally schedule people in my life every week based on my priorities and the goals that I'm trying to accomplish. Now, that doesn't say some people are more important than others, but in reality, we all only have so much time and we all only have so much treasure. So we have to be intentional. We have to be strategic. I literally account for almost every hour of my day, from 5 o'clock in the morning until whatever time we go to bed. I really try to align my passion and my purpose and my priorities, because I need results in my life. I want results in my life. And so this is a very convicting thing to do, especially those of you who have kiddos and have 1,000 different responsibilities. I'm not saying this is easy at all, but I think the more mindful we are, the more strategic we are, the more intentional we are, I think we can get closer to that 80-20. I would say for most of us, if we can get to 50-50, that's probably survival mode. But see if you can kick that up to an 80-20 rule. I think you'll find a lot more reward and a lot more return in your life. Another part of priorities that I want to remind us all is that today matters. There's a word that starts with L that I'm trying to eliminate in my life, and that's the word later. You know, how many times do we spend time saying out loud or to ourselves, oh, I'll get to that later, or I'll call that person later, or I'll take care of that later. Now, there are a lot of different depths to how you can apply that, but what I'm really trying to focus on is be intentional today with your priorities, because today matters. Think of the compound effect. What we do today builds on tomorrow. Think of the financial aspect of that. What we save and invest today builds on tomorrow. Think about the compound effect of money. If you save a little bit every day over time, it creates a great reward. You think about your behavior, your disciplines. If you behave and align your activities today, We promise that there's going to be a greater return likely tomorrow. Prioritizing really focuses on today. Even with a big picture in mind, we can't skip today. So when I think about working out or how I eat, yes, we're all human and we all fall short of our goals at times, but every day matters. And it's really important that we embrace the concept of that, because later, man, it puts off the return, it puts off the reward, and ultimately in our business, it could put off the results. And so I know, like you and like me, we want to have great results in our life. So join me in remembering that today matters, and let's get rid of the L word later. Lastly, on this section, I want to just talk about productivity. When we think about creating results, for me, it all comes from within to what we do with outside, and then our activities, all that creates results. And so I'm a big believer in mastering the fundamentals. I know that's not the shiniest new thing to come off the shelf, but I'm learning more and more in my life, in my character, in my behaviors, in my actions, in my marriage. If I master the fundamentals, I'm more likely to be successful. When I go into organizations, even at high levels, oftentimes when teams are not working well together, or oftentimes when leaders aren't performing at their best, they're skipping some of the fundamentals. And so I just want to encourage all of us to think about the fundamentals that have been shared with us for our Plexus business. Now, I'm still learning some of these things, but when I look at someone like Melanie, who is a very proven leader with a lot of success, man, I'm going to listen to what she does. I'm going to take her advice on the activities that have created results in her business. Why would we not learn from those who are successful? Part of my growth plan personally is I like to hang out with people who are successful. I like to read books about people who are successful. And I like to stop and think about those two things. And I like to apply that to my life. So let's learn the fundamentals from all these great leaders ahead of us in Plexus, so we can multiply that and duplicate that in our own business and follow their lead on a successful Plexus business path. So think about the fundamentals of Plexus. And again, I'm still learning those, but we have to take the products, take them when we're supposed to. We have to continue to try to balance our life and live a well life, and follow up those business activities. I think there's some forms for us to follow. I know that our mentors and our coaches who sign us up are great resources for those kinds of activities. So again, let's not abandon the fundamentals. Those are compounding tools that we have to create great results in our business and in our life. Lastly, I talked about this earlier, and there are a lot of P's on this last sentence, but just think about this for a second. What if we lined up in perfect alignment our why, our purpose? What if right after that came an extremely high passion? What if right after that came a high belief in people? What if we had a high belief in the products? What if we based our activities on priorities? What if we fully aligned all of those things? What do you think that's going to create? Now, flashback to a time you've driven a car that was out of alignment. It's a pretty rough ride. A lot of times it's pretty costly. You start losing tires. You have to go to the shop constantly. You very seldom get to where you want to go without something falling off the car. When a car is out of alignment, there are great consequences. It's very costly. Plus, it doesn't work worth a flip. A car that is not aligned doesn't drive like it was designed to drive. So think about that train track. Think that you want to just fly in. If you want to have great, amazing results, think about aligning your purpose and your passion with people and the products and priorities, and just watch the results explode. It's proven. It's a fact. It happens. I've seen it in my own life, and I've seen it in others. So I want to encourage you to remember these 4 things as you think about your why, As you set your passion free, keep these 4 essential things aligned with your purpose and your passion. The people who are in front of you, the people who are around you, the products that you're using, the products that you can share. Look at your time, look at your resources. How are you spending your days and your weeks? Are they prioritized? Remember the 80-20 rule. And remember that today matters. Don't put off what you can do today, for tomorrow may not come and the opportunities may change. So maximize today and then watch. If you make that a fundamental daily choice, a daily discipline, the results are going to explode. Now, I think I did fair on time. I know, Melanie, we talked about maybe having a little time for Q&A. As we transition to that, I just want to, again, thank you for allowing me to share tonight. I hope you can see the passion in my heart and my eyes. I'm more and more excited about Plexus, but I'm mostly excited about the opportunity to see you develop into the amazing potential that God's given you. Again, go back to your why, let your passion free, line up your priorities, and then just watch the results soar. Melanie, I'm open to questions if there's time.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Chad. I took a bunch of notes, even took some snapshots of your slides. So thank you so much for your time tonight. That was amazing training. And I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions for Chad? You want to share a little bit about maybe your history, I guess, just a little bit about yourself so that people know just how you got started with John Maxwell and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I grew up in Conroe. I'm 3rd generation Conroe. Liz and I moved back home, I guess 4 years ago, this Thanksgiving. Some of you probably know we're a blended family, been married 10 years, have 5 kiddos and 4 grandkids. That's definitely something to be passionate about, to be thankful for. But my day-to-day job primarily has been leadership and executive leadership in nonprofits. And I've been serving companies basically since 1998, doing leadership retreats and coaching and corporate events and things like that. So I have my master's in counseling. I'm a lifelong learner. And Melanie, about 3 years ago, I thought, what's next? Is it a doctorate? Is it an MBA? And I've been using John Maxwell material literally for over 20 years. Every time I'd go lead a retreat, it was a John Maxwell book that I was using. And I tripped onto his university and certification program, and I completed that 2 years ago this August. And so I am fully licensed and credentialed to use his materials. I'm very biased. I think he's an amazing man. I love the principled teaching that he provides. It's timeless, just like scripture, frankly. And it's a privilege. It's sacred ground for me when I walk into a team of people, if it's 1 person or 1,000, the opportunity to speak truth and leadership principles into someone's life is what gets my feet happy when they hit the ground every day. And it's a calling that I have. And I'm very honored to be sharing Maxwell resources with teams across the state. And as I coach people individually or coach teams, there's always some principle of Maxwell, those truths that are in my work. And it's just a privilege to be in that space with people. And it's a privilege to be in that space with you. And I guess I can say our team tonight, right?
That's right. Yeah. And welcome to the team, by the way.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? Or are y'all going to be shy?
I just want to say thank you so much, and we're really excited to have you and Liz on the team and learning from you and being on this journey together. It's going to be amazing.
Well, thanks, Mary. I think that's Marilyn, right?
Yeah, that's my mom.
Yes, it is.
Well, it's, Marilyn, you just reminded me of something. And first of all, it's great to hear your voice, friend. I think about you a lot. One of the things I'm seeing, Melanie, and this is totally off the cuff here, when I think about you, I'm to me, leadership is upside down. If you drew a triangle at the top point, most organizations think the leader's up here, right? And then and then you stand on the people. Well, what I'm seeing in your life, if you flip I don't know how to do that, flip the triangle, right? You're down here. I see in you and I see in Plexus, and this is how I believe leadership should be, is from a servant posture. People are standing on your shoulders.
Right.
And I think about the different layers of that. Each of us in that layer, we're standing on the shoulders of people like Melanie. No pressure, by the way.
Oh yeah, I feel it some days.
But I love that model because it's
Yes.
such a reminder that as leaders, people do stand on our character. If we're leading people,
Yep.
our integrity, our character is part of the foundation that holds them up. And I just want to affirm you and the model of Plexus that I've seen. I'm thankful that it's built that way. I mean, that's been very convicting for me over the last few days as Liz and I've talked about this model and how we can grow it ourselves. And again, I just wanted to publicly affirm you for being that great example. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm a proud mama.
You should be, Marilyn.
I'm going to stop recording, but we can keep off the cuff talk.